Welcome to today's Innovation, Technology and Emissions Reduction announcement. We will hear from Minister Schulz, Emissions Reduction Alberta, and a few of our project recipients, and then take questions from the room and on the phone. Katie Sullivan, Global Managing Director for the International Emissions Trading Association, will provide welcoming remarks this morning. Take it away.
Thanks very much. Welcome on behalf of IETA, the International Emissions Trading Association. It's my honor and pleasure to support today's special announcement by Emissions Reduction Alberta and the Alberta government. I'm joined by an esteemed group of speakers who will share details on the announcement and later answer questions. So this includes the Honourable Rebecca Schulz, Minister of Environment and Protected Areas, Justin Riemer, CEO, Emissions Reduction Alberta, Michael Steele, CFO, Adven, Rob Morgan, President and CEO, Strathcona Resources Limited, and Neil Wiens, CEO and CTO, Replenish Nutrients. For over 20 years, IETA has been the leading global business voice for practical, high-integrity market solutions to tackle climate change. And for over half of that time, we've been a major supporter and champion for low-carbon policy leadership and innovation emerging from Alberta. Today's big funding announcement, enabled through Alberta's long-standing carbon market, or TIER, is a true testament to smart climate ambition in practice. It's where system revenue can drive and unlock further climate benefits and co-benefits. Without further ado, it's my honor to welcome the Honourable Rebecca Schulz to the podium. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Katie, and good morning, everybody. It is so great to be here this morning, obviously in Stampede Week here at the Ampersand. In case you didn't know, this building has received gold status from the Building Owners and Managers Association for its high environmental standards. It's also the host venue for the International Emissions Trading Association's Carbon Roundup event, and it is so great to see so many of you attending with us here today. Your conference and the excitement of the Calgary Stampede make this the absolute perfect time to celebrate Alberta's latest investment in a lower emissions future. Today, we're excited to announce that Alberta is investing more than $60 million into 14 cutting-edge projects that will help reduce emissions and increase economic performance for industries right across the province. This funding, as Kate mentioned, is from the Technology, Innovation and Emissions Reduction, or TIER Fund, and is being awarded through Emissions Reduction Alberta's Industrial Transformation Challenge. This funding is supporting some very cool projects that will have a big impact on emissions reduction in a variety of industries and in projects right across the province of Alberta. This includes a project producing battery materials for electric vehicles. It includes a project transforming how cement is made and used, and another one that's using geothermal to power forestry operations and electrify industrial buildings. We'll hear more about these incredible projects and technologies from a few of our recipients today. Whether a facility is in the early testing stages or approaching the final commercial project, we have focused on advancing technologies with real practical potential. Each of the 14 selected projects represents an exciting opportunity to reduce emissions and help Alberta lead the way into a lower carbon future. If successful, together, they will reduce about 700,000 tons of emissions by 2030 and 2.5 million tons by 2050. What's more, they're estimated to support 1,700 new jobs and have a GDP impact of around $337 million by 2025. Before we hear about those specific projects, I do want to thank Emissions Reduction Alberta for hosting this challenge. Thank you so much, Justin, and our project recipients for bringing their bold ambitions forward. These technologies are absolutely key to our shared future. They will play a big role in achieving Alberta's aspiration for net zero by 2050 as set out in our Emissions Reduction and Energy Development Plan and in securing the competitiveness of new and existing industries. We see the benefits of these funding calls firsthand in Alberta and across Canada. Sometimes this means pursuing tried and true technologies, and sometimes it means taking a chance on brand new technology solutions, both of which end up leading to incredible environmental and economic rewards. Not only is Alberta a global leader in technology and energy expertise, but we're also full of clean tech and innovation, which we see in CCUS, methane, and responsible agriculture and food production, just to name a few. Alberta's industrial facilities are already working hard to improve environmental performance, and the technologies they need to require investments like the ones that we're announcing here today. These specific investments help get these technologies to market faster. I believe our province has the potential to provide the entire world with the technology and energy policies needed to reduce global emissions reductions while strengthening energy security and affordability and, of course, driving economic growth. Today's funding is an important step forward towards that vision. Together, Alberta and Canada can lead the world. Congratulations again to all the successful funding recipients on this exciting first step. I look forward to seeing your projects grow. With that, I'll pass things on over to Justin.
Thank you very much, Minister. It's so pleased to be here in partnership with the Government of Alberta today, and I want to say thank you for your leadership and commitment to put in place all the conditions of success. It's great to see so many friends and colleagues here. Thank you so much for coming out today. Transforming our industries to a low-carbon future holds enormous opportunities for this province, but it's complex. It takes supportive policy and regulatory frameworks, it takes significant investments, and it takes strong leadership and an entrepreneurial spirit. And it takes talented people and innovative companies. Luckily, Alberta has all of these things in spades. As indicated, my name is Justin Riemer. I'm the CEO of Emissions Reduction Alberta, and I am so pleased to have you join us here today for this exciting announcement. I want to thank Katie and Aida for hosting us for such a great event today. We appreciate you taking a break from your programming and look forward to having you engage throughout the day on market-based climate solutions. This is at the intersection of where business and government play, and that is where ERA plays. As you know, ERA invests revenues from the carbon price paid by large emitters in this province to accelerate and de-risk technologies and develop new solutions. This is a topic that many of you here seated here today are passionate about, and I know you'll hear more about this topic from my friends at the GOA during their presentations and roundtable. We are proud to be a trusted delivery partner for the Government of Alberta's Tier Fund and to play a critical role in the province's emission reduction and energy development plan. ERA is a proof point for many of the conversations you are having today, and that's why we're here to announce projects selected through our Industrial Transformation Challenge who will receive funding collected by Tier. Today, we add 14 new projects and more than $60 million in funding to our portfolio. These projects will solidify the province's global leadership in industrial decarbonization. With no further ado, I'd like to announce the funding recipients. Advent Inc., Calgary District Heating Incorporated, Canadian Forest Products, Canadian Pacific Rail, Can-Do Rail and Terminals, Carbon Corp, Lightus Inc., Make Sense, McCain Foods, Replenish Nutrients, Strathcona Resources Limited, Universal Matter Incorporated, and ZS2 Technologies. All of these projects involve piloting, demonstrating, or deploying technology in Alberta. And you can find all the project details on our website, eralberta.ca. Go to it on your phones right now, I won't be offended. Many of the companies have graciously joined us today, and we will hear from a few of them in a moment, but I encourage you to speak to them and learn more about the great work that they are doing. And a big thank you to all of you as innovators. From hydrogen trains to geothermal to novel carbon capture to lithium extraction, there is a broad portfolio of projects in this funding announcement. With this investment, ERA has now committed in total $910 million, close to $1 billion, in 260 projects worth $7.3 billion in public and private investment. ERA is proud and very well known for its funding leverage of 7-to-1. For every dollar we invest, we see $7 on average invested in our projects. Since 2009, our projects have resulted in an estimated cumulative greenhouse gas reduction of 108 million tons projected by 2050. And that's thanks in part to many of the people in the room today, and we are here to celebrate you. The numbers will only continue to grow as we continue to invest through the government's tier funds and support the implementation of the Emissions Reduction and Energy Development Plan. Our industries account for roughly 2/3 of the province's greenhouse gas emissions. Our industrial foundation is considerably different than other provinces, and it's not only oil and gas. It's other energy-intensive industries that set us apart from the rest. These industries are economic drivers for our province. This investment can fundamentally transform our energy and emissions footprint and build our economy at the same time. Through this investment, we are helping to forward-thinking industries and technology developers to get their best ideas to market faster. We also need to recognize that Alberta's industrial facilities are already doing a tremendous amount to improve environmental performance. And that said, the technologies they need require significant investments, an investment that can be made thanks again to the Tier Fund and the great work by my team at ERA. So on behalf of ERA, we are proud to be part of your journey, and I'll now hand over things to Michael Steele, who is the CFO for Advent Inc., and a company that manufactures electrodes for use in energy storage systems. Over to you, Michael.
Thanks. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Minister. Advent Inc. is piloting our electrode superadhesive coating technology, which is a disruptive technology for the battery and energy sector. Our company, generally, our mandate is to take refinery residues and turn them into non-combustible products for next-generation electrical storage devices. Our pilot will demonstrate how ESAC could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2/3, energy storage by 90%. We don't use any volatile chemicals in our process, and we double the cycle life of existing, soon-to-be obsolete other technologies. We're also in the process of commissioning a 36,000 square foot plant in Nisku, Alberta, for the production of advanced superactivated carbon, which is a carbon to be used for supercapacitors and the battery industries. Together, our ASAC and our ESAC will contribute to a more sustainable economy for Alberta. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Rob Morgan. He's the CEO of Strathcona Resources.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. I want to thank Minister Schulz, ERA, obviously. Strathcona is extremely excited to be selected for this program. Just quickly, Strathcona Resources, we are one of the largest oil and gas producers in we're a privately owned oil and gas producer in North America, including about a third of our production from the Alberta oil sands. We are pursuing a novel technology for carbon capture, and pursuing this funding is going to allow us to pursue a demonstration project that will generate both electricity and steam for our in-situ oil sands operations, while at the same time capturing 95% of the post-combustion CO2, resulting in clean electricity generation and ultimately very clean oil production. This is a promising decarbonization solution suited for various industrial applications, including Alberta's vast oil sands resources. Government support for this and other industrial decarbonization projects is an important example of how technology, innovation, and emissions reduction funding advances emerging technologies, particularly in this case carbon capture, advancing it today and well into the future. Thank you again for recognizing Strathcona and our desire to find innovative ways to reduce our carbon footprint while at the same time delivering safe, reliable energy where and when it's needed. With that, I'd like to welcome Neil Wiens, Chief Executive Officer and Chief Technology Officer of Replenish Nutrients.
Thank you, Rob. My name is Neil Wiens, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer, Chief Technical Officer, and co-founder of Replenish Nutrients. And I'm thrilled to be here to represent Replenish today for Emissions Reduction Alberta Industrial Challenge funding announcement. Thank you to Minister Rebecca Schulz and Justin Riemer for seeing the promise of regenerative agriculture and the role it can play in significantly reducing ag sector emissions while improving our soil health. Agriculture around the world is at a crossroads. The impacts of climate change are undeniable, and with approximately 25% of global GHG emissions coming from the ag sector, 50% of course of which comes actually from synthetic fertilizer use, is shifting from oil and gas to agriculture as the next frontier for climate action. As replenished nutrients, our regenerative fertilizer products offer a low salt, zero waste, low GHG emission alternative to synthetic fertilizers, which also restore the nutrient balance of the soil and of course give you better soil health. The result of the fertilizer that increases microbial action, lowers these emissions, creates higher yields, and ultimately reduces inputs for the farmers, of course, where everything is skyrocketing. Regenerative fertilizer is poised to be a game changer for ag producers by replacing traditional synthetic fertilizers, which are often high in harmful nitrous oxide and emissions intensive to produce. The funding announced today will support the construction of our new plant manufacturing facility near DeBolt, Alberta, up in the north, that will lead to an emissions reduction of more than 22,000 tons of carbon equivalents and create lots of new jobs in this rural community. I'm thrilled to know that the government of Alberta sees merit in what we're doing at the Replenish and is keen to support that kind of innovation that will keep our ag sector going strong now and in the future. Thank you again to Minister Schulz and the entire team for Emissions Reduction Alberta for this great show of faith in our little company today. I will now turn the mic over to Benji Smith, who will lead the media Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Neil. So that brings us to the end of our formal event, and we'll move into the media Q&A. Just a reminder to media to please state your outlet, and we will keep it to one question, one follow-up. Our speakers as well, if you have any questions about the specific projects, are happy to take questions. We'll start on the floor here with reporters before moving to the phones.
Sean Polzer, Western Standard. My understanding is that the tier funds are tied to the federal carbon tax. Is there any idea of how much the fund is going to grow over the next several years to 2030 as those levies, that level per ton, rises?
Yeah, so Alberta was, well, we were the first province to implement a tax on heavy emitters, and obviously then those dollars were able to reinvest in technology innovation and emissions reduction, which is exactly why we're here today. In this way, we are able to find solutions that are unique to Alberta. This is something that Alberta has been very proud of over the last number of years. We have a lot of conversations on the go right now with the federal government, but we want to maintain focused on the innovation and technology that is happening right here and being able to keep those dollars here in Alberta to drive forward innovation and change in emissions reductions.
Okay, you've invested almost $1 billion to date. How much money has been raised from the TIER program to date, and you know, what would be the size of the scale that we're talking about future investments, say to 2030?
Yeah, those have been the investments that have gone into Emissions Reduction Alberta, but we can follow up with you after this. Benji will take that and get you that specific number right as soon as we're done here.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Any more questions here on the floor? Perfect. We'll move over to the phones. Operator, please put through our first caller.
Thank you. The first caller is Emma Graney, Globe and Mail.
Yeah, g'day guys. Thanks for taking my question here. Actually, I want to throw this one to Rob at Strathcona. It sounds like a really kind of promising technology you're talking about. Could you speak a little bit further to how what you're looking at doing could transform the energy sector and also help with the competitiveness of different companies in Alberta's energy sector and oil sands?
Thank you for the question. So on the competitiveness question, I think one thing you are seeing in the oil and gas sector in Alberta is a higher level of cooperation than we've ever seen, certainly in my history. Everyone, of course, or a number of you may be aware of the Pathways project, many of the largest oil sands producers coming together to look at carbon capture and storage to reduce emissions intensity. Our project is at this point focused on the capture piece. And really what we are doing is using some novel technology. One of the challenges with carbon capture is, particularly combustion carbon capture is that the level of CO2 in your flue gas is quite low. It's only about 3%. And so the equipment required to capture is quite large and quite expensive. Whereas this technology allows us to recirculate that combustion flue gas and increase the concentration up to about 10%. So all of the equipment required to capture is much smaller, much lower capital cost, and allows us to be way more efficient, that we can use conventional technology to then capture the CO2. So we think it is potentially a game changer for the industry, and we're very excited to be piloting and being supported by ERA on this project on behalf of the industry.
Perfect. And do you have a follow-up, Emma?
Okay. Oh, I always have a follow-up, mate. Yeah, so when it comes to technology like this, and perhaps this is something Michael would like to weigh into as well, does this investment by ERA from the TIER Fund, how much does this help industry as a whole, would you say? Like, you're sharing what you're learning here, you're going to allow all of this stuff to be available to the industries around Alberta to, you know, reduce emissions and increase their own competitiveness, or how do you envisage that?
Emma, it's Justin Riemer from ERA. Was this for a specific business you were asking that, or more generally?
I mean, you know, generally, or if it's something that Rob wants to follow up on.
So,
you know.
Right. From ERA's perspective, we've invested in over 200 projects. We've seen a significant amount of interest in our funds, and our funds have actually unlocked other capital invested. From the private sector, our funding ratio, as mentioned, was about 7-1. So we are one of the catalytic investors in a lot of projects that are essential to moving those projects further faster than they would without our support, or in some places able to make those projects go. Without our funding, they wouldn't be able to go in the way that they've envisioned. So we've seen enormous leverage and interest in our funds, but we are not the 100% funder of most of these projects. In fact, often we're far less than 50% of the funding.
Perfect. Operator, please put through our next caller.
Thank you. Catherine Grakowski, Alberta Today.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. So I see a total estimated number for the emission reduction, and I'm wondering, is that just for within Alberta if these projects are successful, or does it take into account any potential commercialization and use of this technology elsewhere?
Yeah, it would take in the broader adoption and commercialization outward of projects. Based on our investment in the capital outlay of those specific projects. So it might not necessarily be all in Alberta, but most, I would say.
And do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, it's tangentially related. It's related to the TIER, and it's for the minister. In your mandate letter, one of the things you've been directed to do with TIER is establish new protocols to develop and trade carbon credits. So I'm wondering where these credits would come from, where they're being sold to, and why have carbon credits when we already have that levy on industrial use?
Yeah, that's something that the Premier has been in discussions with industry, and so this is something that we're going to look at to see if there is a way that we can make that carbon credit trading simpler. Obviously, there are players out there who are already undertaking this and trading carbon credits, and so this is work that I'm excited to dig into right away here. It's one of our top priorities as we look at how we're working through the TIER Fund, how we continue to incentivize emissions reduction and innovation, and so more to come on that, I would say, in the coming months.
Perfect. Operator, please put through our next caller.
Thank you. There are no additional callers in the queue at this time.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody. That concludes today's announcement. Thank you for coming.